Working in the Vineyard with Jesus. My name is Winfield Gould, and I serve in the Vineyard of the Lord as second counselor to the Patriarch. I didn't ask for this position. I just showed up, just like you. And I found it an important thing to do, although I'm not very good at it yet. I've always been impressed with the words in the Book of Mormon in Jacob, chapter 5, verses 70 through 75. In the past, I thought these verses would be fulfilled a long time after I passed away, but I did sort of wish that they would be fulfilled in my lifetime so that I could take some part in their fulfillment. Now I find that wish is happening. And verse 70, and it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard sent his servant, and the servant went and did as the Lord had commanded him, and brought other servants, and they were few. Now I would note that they were not only few, but these few were the poor, the maimed, the halt, the blind. And for the most part, they didn't even know that they had these deficiencies. Now let us be honest. Isn't this who we really are? As in Luke 14, verses 16 through 21 shows us to be. These few were chosen of God because they showed up, and they had no excuses, and they stayed for the banquet, even when they found out there was work to do. Now, going back to chapter 5, verse 71, we find that the Lord doesn't want them to be just laborers. But what he wants, those few servants who already have a lot of problems of their own, to labor and do so with all their might. Verse 71, and the Lord of the vineyard said unto them, go and labor in the vineyard with your might. For behold, this is the last time that I shall nourish my vineyard, for the end is nigh at hand, and the season speedily cometh. And if you labor with your might with me, you shall have joy in the fruit, which I shall lay up unto myself against the time which will soon come. We can now see that the labor must come before the banquet. A person must really have experienced joy to understand why these servants of the Lord continue to press on in their labor of love. At times, I also have seen this joy in your eyes. Verse 72, and it came to pass that the servants did go and labor with their mights, and the Lord of the vineyard labored also with them. And they did obey the commandments of the Lord in the vineyard in all things. To have Jesus laboring at your side would be a wonderful thing. But for those crippled misfits to obey the commandments of the Lord in all things. Shows what a few disabilities can do to improve a person's character and faithfulness. And there began to be the natural fruit again in the vineyard, and the natural branches began to grow and thrive exceedingly. And the wild branches began to be plucked off and cast away. And they did keep the root and the top thereof equal, according to the strength thereof. And thus they labored with all diligence, according to the commandments of the Lord of the vineyard, even until the bed had been cast out of the vineyard, and the Lord had preserved unto himself the trees had become again the natural fruit. And they became like unto one body, and the fruits were equal, even as our two quorums are to become equal. And the Lord of the vineyard had preserved unto himself the natural fruit, which was most precious unto him from the beginning. And it came to pass that when the Lord of the vineyard saw that his fruit was good, and that his vineyard was no more corrupt, he called up his servants and said unto them, Behold, for this last time we have nourished my vineyard, and thou beholdest that I have done according to my will, and I have preserved the natural fruit, that it is good, even like as it was in the beginning. And blessed art thou, for because ye have been diligent in laboring with me in my vineyard, and have kept my commandments, which, by the way, includes the proper keeping of the Sabbath day, the sacramental services, and the paying of tithes. Now continuing with verse 75, and have brought unto me again the natural fruit, that my vineyard is no more corrupted. And the bad is cast away. Behold, ye shall have joy with me because of the fruit of my vineyard. So now, knowing who you are, all of you of the second invitation, those who have shown up, go and labor with your mights. Do the work in the vineyard of the Lord with thanksgiving and joy, keeping all the commandments of the Lord. And yes, try to get in some banqueting if you get a chance. Thank you.